Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is the tightrope. And I think, more and more have the experience of walking a delicate balance between increasing polarities that are emerging and just finding a balance in navigating all the crazy circumstances that we are confronted with. So we'll get to talk about that today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel that delicious sensation and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, in these incredible bodies that allow us to experience life. So welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Good morning, Lisa. So good to have you guys here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody who's joining us. Maggie is foraging on the floor from some of the debris that she left from eating yesterday. Anyway, today's topic is the tightrope. And I don't know about you, but I feel increasingly like I'm trying to find a balance in life, in my expression, in where to speak out, how to act, take action, for instance. Where's the balance between taking action and not taking action, and what degree of action if we see that there's a call for it. Another aspect of this conversation is political correctness, and what does that look like, and where do we allow ourselves to become politically incorrect? I think looking at questions of truth and integrity, and how do we balance these things when we see that we're called to be acting in a particular way or complying with certain constraints, or where it's okay to talk about some things and not others. I guess we've all heard that at family gatherings you don't talk about religion or politics, and it's interesting because what we're seeing is a bigger and bigger impact of politics these days. And I wonder, for you, where do you find that balance within yourself? I think what I'm noticing is that the more I guess I find the answer in a reliance on my connection with my heart. That sometimes we're called to action and sometimes we're not, and or where we have inklings but we're not pushed over the edge. And I'm wondering, what is it that pushes us over the edge to say, okay, this is it. Now's the time to be getting more actively engaged in something. We have a lot of issues right now in the world, and the pandemic is not even the largest of them. Maybe some of the fallout from the pandemic is, but certainly with climate and the urgency of action in regard to climate change and the way that we as humans are operating on the planet, there's so much that's calling for our urgent attention. And I think it's interesting, because I think the social demands on us as a human family are probably greater now than ever in human history. That there's so much that we as individuals are called to engage in, and the cost of not engaging is tremendously high. So when we entertain the issues of the day, there's an urgency about them that's never been there before, and particularly with environmental and climate issues. And I guess we have an ongoing choice of whether to engage or not to engage, and in what way. And I personally have been finding a conscious conversation with myself about how to strike a balance between these polarized attitudes and views. For instance, on one level, I believe that we are spirit manifest in physical form, and that all of this in its way is a waking dream. It's an illusion, and we have the ability to transcend it in consciousness and in the manifestation of it, and that we are active creators. So on one hand, I believe that. And on the other hand, I also recognize the challenges that we're facing in this physical material existence that are urgent. And so again, we go to holding with open hand, but holding the seemingly opposite views of something in every moment is sometimes really challenging. At least, I find it that way. I'm wondering if you are experiencing anything like that, where I feel a little bit like a ping pong ball bouncing between being inclined to be taking action. Good morning, Dennis. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. I love the emojis you guys add to your comments. They're awesome. Thank you so much. I find it challenging. I guess my foundational question all my life has been, what's real and what's not real? And I think that this conversation of the tightrope, finding a way to be navigating, finding a place of balance between these seemingly opposing viewpoints is just really challenging and interesting. To be engaged in the world, active in I want to say creating change, but I don't know if it is necessarily creating change, or I don't know even how lasting that change is, or how, on one level, I believe that we can create lasting, profound change through shifts of consciousness. And that's really the only way that lasting, profound change is going to occur. And so that's one aspect. And yet there are other things going on in the world that if we take action, we can affect change. And so it's a very interesting combination and dilemma, that if I believe that if we collectively change our thinking, that we will change our future 100%, and that all change emerges from thought. Oh, Lisa, you put in a whole tome here. I'm so excited. Okay, so Lisa says, since I started working, I've been stressed. I work in a hostile workplace and I do walk a tightrope, right? About what you can say, what you can't say, how to behave, how to interact, craziness, right? So Lisa says, the other day, the boys yelled, screamed, and called me names in front of everyone, including a customer. Wow. Wow. And that's completely unacceptable behavior. Just not okay. I'm wondering if you have an HR person that you can go to. But Lisa says, before this would have had me curl up in a ball whimpering, but not now. I know my worth for the first time. Hallelujah, girlfriend. That's awesome. I quietly got up and said, I don't respond to this kind of behavior. And I proceeded to walk out the door. I probably should have been so upset, but I wasn't. I went food shopping, then went home. Wow, Lisa, that's powerful, and congratulations for you that you weren't upset because you recognized that it wasn't about you. It was their I don't even know what, but completely inappropriate behavior. But I'm wondering if you have an HR person to go to. That's behavior that should be reported. It should not be acceptable. And so then this is another tightrope. Do you go and you report that? Do you, oh my gosh, this is my boss. There is no HR. Holy moly, that's really horrific. I don't know if you have the option of looking for another job because that's just completely unacceptable behavior. Good for you not to stand for it. Good for you to be able to be calm and to just navigate that. But that's an exceedingly hostile workplace. And it sounds like it's a teaching ground for you in certain respects because you're getting to recognize your worth in that context, and you're getting to respond to circumstances that are unacceptable. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad to hear this. So Lisa says, I called the owner of the company and told him what happened. He apparently spoke to him and returned yesterday. And I returned yesterday, head held high. Good for you. So you didn't have HR, but you had the boss, the owner, rather. Good for you, Lisa. And good for you to take that action, because there are always circumstances that we have to juggle and balance and determine what's the appropriate course of action. But you did the absolutely right thing. Congratulations. So I think that it sounds like this job is a place for you to be stepping into your sovereignty in a lot of ways. So I congratulate you on that. And maybe it's a place that has come closer to outliving its usefulness. Maybe there's another opportunity for you to find a more pleasant environment to be working in. I mean, that really does sound like a horrifically hostile workplace. So congratulations to you for standing up. That's huge. And the question is, when and how do we stand up when we're called to? And I think we're all being called to, I think in all different ways, in all different manifestations, we're being called to stand up for our beliefs, to be heard, to be seen, and in the face of social judgment and social pressure, that can be a very challenging and disheartening thing. I have a bunch of friends who we engage in conversation around a lot of what's going on in the world, and we all go through phases of feeling strong and hopeful, and feeling resigned and despairing. And there are, this is a tightrope. Lisa says it's about taking leadership in your life. Exactly, Lisa. Congratulations for that. And thank you so much for sharing that circumstance and your evolution in it, your response. So no more whimpering ball in the corner for you. Good for you to be able to take leadership. And I think that we all get to do this. I notice, as I was saying, that sometimes it feels like whipsawing between hopefulness. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa says, I learn a lot from you. That's so kind. Thank you. Good for you. I whatever you can take that's valuable, that's awesome. I'm just delighted to that it's made some difference for you. That's awesome. I love the way you took leadership. You didn't fight back. You just said, not receiving this. I'm out of here for now. You just good for you, and took the action that needed to be taken. I'm just so happy for you. So the tightrope is often an emotional tightrope that we walk, and that's part of what I'm talking about here, because sometimes we just lose the momentum, or where we have our moments when we're forging forward, and we're strong, and we're confident, and we're expressed, and we're engaged. And then there are other times when we just stumble, and sometimes we feel like we're knocked to our knees. And the thing that we get to do is get back up again. And we don't get to judge ourselves for getting knocked to our knees. It happens to everyone. And it lets us know, it lets us celebrate our strength too. Because especially, when we get up and dust ourselves off, even if we're limping for a little bit, we get stronger. And as long as we get up one more time, then we get knocked down, we're winning. And sometimes it feels, there are moments when it feels insurmountable. And in those moments, maybe we get to recognize the momentousness. I don't even know if that's a word. Monumental this degree of challenge. Maybe there are moments when we recognize Goliath as Goliath, and then there are moments then when we stand back up and say, you know what, you're not so big after all. And the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So much for that. It's navigating an ebb and a flow. And as we allow ourselves to free ourselves from self-judgment and criticism, and then we can redouble our efforts. We can gain strength. You know, if you think about working out, what are you doing? You're tearing muscles down in order to be able to build them back up. And so sometimes getting knocked to our knees just makes us stronger as we rally our resources to get back up again. And yeah, I've seen this this pattern of forward and back and forward and back, and 2 steps forward, 1 step back. As long as it's more steps forward than back, we're still making progress, right? And every now and then it might be 3 steps back, you know, whatever. It's still, we get to press on and re-engage. And I think that this is a testament to how character is honed and built. If we don't experience any adversity, then we have no resilience. You know, if you're in a germ-free environment, then you really become susceptible to all kinds of ailments, and you become more vulnerable. So with opposition, we become stronger. And that's not to say that I'm inviting opposition. I'm just recognizing that that's part of our process as humans. You know, that when we encounter adversity, it either overtakes us or we rally. And I used to have, one of my anthems used to be, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And when I realized that I was inviting circumstances that could come close to killing me, I decided that maybe I could change that anthem to something else. And I don't mean necessarily physically threatening my well-being, but emotionally, you know, my mental state, my emotional state kind of threats, or financial even for that matter. But we have the ability to, we have this remarkable resilience, human beings do. And we have this remarkable capacity to not just weather the storm, but to flourish. Good morning, Bernadette. So good to have you here with us. We're talking about the tightrope of finding a balance between ideas, beliefs, emotions, circumstances. How do we find a way to integrate the polarities that might even exist within ourselves? You know, I think that this is a time of deep transformation for us as individuals, and for us as a culture, and for us as a larger human family. And I see it's always necessary for the dissolving of old patterns before the new patterns can fully emerge. And when there is that kind of dissolving, there's disruption and upheaval. And I think that we're experiencing that now. And we are called now to, we have a big, urgent call right now on many fronts. And the one that it's so interesting to me, because of all the focus on the virus and vaccines and all of that, because there's so much focus on that, it seems that that's the most immediate thing, when in fact I'm not certain that that's the case. I think that we've lost focus on the climate crisis right now, and how we are engaging with the world. So much progress that had been made in terms of awareness and conservation have been diverted, I think, or we've been distracted. And I hope that we find our way to a place of grace on this crazy tightrope, or these multiple tightropes, this network of tightropes that we're faced with walking. So I think that might be it for today, but it's all about finding balance. And what I notice about balance, and this, I'll close with this, is that it's not a static state. Balance is not a static state. Lisa, good luck today. Lisa says it's time to go to work. Have a wonderful day. I am excited for you to go, head held high, and maybe, who knows, maybe some kind of wonderful magical shift will happen for you. I hope so. So good luck today. And so what I was saying about balance is that it's not a static state. It's a state of constant corrections. They may be micro corrections, but it's really a state of being out of balance and correcting and correcting and correcting. Exactly. Perhaps you're a lesson for him. Lisa, I wouldn't have a moment's doubt about that you are for sure a lesson for your boss. No question. And maybe he'll be a good student. We'll see. And I wish you luck with that. I hope you'll let us know how it goes. So again, we're always making corrections. And that's really what balance is coming back into, maybe it's not even coming back into a place of balance, because it is an action, it's an activity, it's not a state, because it's not static. So that's the invitation for our walk along the tightrope, is to find grace in that balancing act, in that movement between polarities, to find grace in that I guess we can call it a dance, right? So with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, Enlightened World Living, and EWN One with the Earth. And it is such a privilege and gift to be spending this time with you. I so appreciate you and your engagement in these conversations with me. And until next time, have an umbrella on that tightrope, and maybe we'll all be able to learn how to juggle up there too. So with that, lots and lots